But this panel is called How to Increase Telematics Service Stickiness with Wialon. So, with all of you guys being solution providers with Wialon and integrators, I'm sure all of you are aware of how important customer loyalty is, right? We are not in business of one-time sales. We're in business of attracting the customer and keeping them and maximizing their lifetime. So that's the topic that we're gonna explore in some depth with this great lineup of panelists that we have with us today. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce who you guys see in front of you. So right to the left from me is Mario Todd with a company called UBIQ out of Mexico. Mario has been with Wialon for 4 years, so I also going to give you guys information of how long these folks have been partners with us. The next panelist that we have is Jostein Ludvigsen from Norway, the company called Autogear. And Jostein has been with us for about 4 years as well. And last but not least is Jorge Valladares from Honduras, the company called Arisun. So Jorge actually was one of those top 10 companies that date back to 2009 and even earlier, as far as the partners that we've had with us for the longest time. So great to have you all guys with us. So I'm going to try to make this panel as interactive as possible. So we have a list of questions prepared that we'll go over one by one, and we'll give this guys an opportunity to expand on each of those questions. But I also would like to involve you guys, the audience, with any questions or any follow-up questions to whatever these guys would be saying, or something within this topic that you would like to explore further. Please feel free. The panel should take around 45 minutes, could be a little less. So once we're done, you can also go and join one of the workshops that we have running, that we run in parallel, because the workshops are scheduled for about an hour and a half. All right, without further ado, I'll start with the first question to you guys. So just like I said in the intro, keeping customers and developing existing customers is typically a priority for telematics service providers. So in your guys' business models, what portion of your resources goes towards selling to the new customers versus retaining the existing ones? And also, as part of answering that question, if you could comment on how that proportion was changing over time, if it has. Mario, we'll start with you, please.
Thanks. Good afternoon, and it's an honor to be here because I know all of you have a lot of experience as well. So I think right now our efforts are around 50% dedicated to new customers and 50% to retain the old ones. It has changed, yes. In the past, I think 30% was dedicated to retain old customer, and now that percentage has increased. And I think one of the reasons is because now many other providers are knocking the doors of my clients, of our clients. So we have to look after our clients. In the old times, we just sold the product, the service, and we just take an eye on them. But now it's not possible anymore. Providers are knocking the door every day, and also our clients knows more about GPS tracking and all the possibilities that is possible to do. So now they are doing a lot of research as well. So that's why this increase in the efforts to retain our clients, to avoid that other providers get them. Also to inform them what are the new trends in the market. As I was saying, I think they are more curious now of what's happening in the market, and it's better if we inform to them directly what is happening in the market. Because otherwise, if they get information from other sources, as we have experience, sometimes we go with the client and they ask us, hey, what about this, or what about this or new product or this trend? And we know that, we notice that this causes just misinformation to them. And this misinformation can make them to take wrong decisions, and those wrong decisions can affect us as well, because they may change the idea of what they are doing, etc., etc. So I think one of the ways to looking after them is to inform them what's happened in the market with the technology, with the new developments, with the new vertical markets. And well, that's important. And the other thing is.
So sorry, Mario, we're almost getting into specifics of
Okay.
you know what you guys do, and you know we definitely want to cover that separately. But you know, for now, let's you know kind of address that question as far as the resources spent on existing versus new. I think it'd be interesting for others to know that. So thank you, Jostein. What's your situation as far as this breakout?
Thank you. For us, I would say it's the 80-20 rule, basically. 80% new customers and 20% trying to avoid churn. And what I would say is also that we have implemented something called the OKR, Objective Key Results, something that Google, for example, is using, that we're trying to have different goals each quarter. We are a typical growth company, so it's kind of obvious that you want to focus in the beginning, at least, with the new sales. But the more you grow, the more it hurts when you're churning. So if you're churning 1 out of 100, or if you have churning $1 out of 100, then it's okay. But when you're starting with $1 million and you're starting 1% of that or 2%, then you're getting more focus into the churn part. So for us, it's been very important to focus more and more on that now in, I would say, the last 2 years. So when I was thinking a little bit more about it, I would say that maybe if you're starting to reach like 5,000 units or so, then it might be too late, but it's maybe the time that's most natural to start focusing on this. But churn is, I would say, as important as the new sales. Everyone is focusing on growing, but not so many is focusing actually on retaining the customers, which is, in my opinion, even more important.
Mm-hmm. So churn is that metric that you watch that would tell you when it is time to rethink the distribution of resources between, you know, paying attention.
Basically, when you're starting to grow, you're setting up a sales team, right? And you focus on everything on pushing sales. What we don't have, but we are going to set up, is like a customer success department, which is basically would be one person. But to have someone that, you know, if a customer is about to churn, then you have the system of infrastructure to actually trying to save it or trying to avoid it, which I will talk a little bit more later. So yeah, it's 80-20 rule.
Okay, thank you. George, what about you?
Okay, for us it's a little bit different. Listening to what you two guys said, we are in a 70-30%, and meaning not even 30, 70-15. 70% support on the old clients, we'll call it maintenance, because it's a maintenance procedure to be on top of all those clients, and 15% on sales, new sales. And this, answering your question about how has it changed during the time, sales was 0% before. So you could ask, how could you sell if you had 0%?
How you got the customers in the first place?
Yes, how you got them, because we, as a company, we were a very boutique company. We were always a boutique company. We cater for the construction equipment. So we approached the construction equipment with already a solution. We are a solution-based company since the beginning, not monitoring. So as we approached them, this guy told the owner of the other company contacted us, so we had no need for a sales department per se. So that was the way we grow. Now it's different because we have all the construction equipment companies, because we have all those type of companies that we wanted. Now we do want sales. We want those 5 units, 10 units, 20 unit companies. But what happens with all the old ones? We always needed the maintenance. That's why we have that 70, 15, 15. We were making a calculation this afternoon with Sergei. Basically, that's the way it's worked with us. But it seems that we're not kind of the medium of what the companies do, that they go to monitoring, but we actually did, since the beginning, we had a solution. Natalie here can tell you about it when we started. So actually, that will be the story, and the way we do it, it's a 70-15%, because the other 15%, it's administration. And administration will be backing up sales and backing up the technical part.
Gotcha. That's very interesting. So on the panel, we have quite a ranging, big range in how that proportion of spending resources on existing customers and acquiring new ones distributes, right? With Jostein being in a very high growth stage, I understand, right? There's much more focus on the new sales, and the flip side of that is George and Arisun and Mario's company somewhere in the middle. So it's great to have this, very, very different perspectives brought in. So the second question that I had for you.
One thing.
Yeah.
Our turnover, or losing clients for us, it's a no-no. We have a turnover of around 0%. That means we got clients that are 10 years old, as old as the company.
Very impressive. So, to continue our conversation, the next question that I had for you guys is if you could talk about some of those business tactics and approaches that you do that ensure that the customer sticks with you. Mario, you already started talking about, being that information source to the customer, right? If the customer hears about the trends that are in the industry, in this type of service, you help them navigate through all those options. And some of those options may be misleading from some of the competitors that are not, very transparent about what they're offering, right? What else? What else do you feel you guys, consciously do to ensure that stickiness and that loyalty?
Yeah, I think that also has to do with honesty. Honesty when you are selling, because sometimes we want to sell things that we know the client really doesn't need. So you probably sell something that part of the service they need it, but a small percentage you know that they don't need it. But sooner or later, the client is going to realize that some of the part of the service that they bought to you, they don't need it. And when they realize that what you sold, they were not needing it, they lose confidence on you. It could be just, well, no problem, I can keep with my 80% that it's okay. But the balance could be very worse if someone in the company, a new director, a new manager, gets and review the project and he realizes that something that he bought is not needed. He can make a whole review of the whole project and he can back off everything. So I think in my experience it's very important to be honest with the client, and if you think that they don't need all what you are offering, you have to, it's preferred to sell just some part of the service instead of trying to sell everything, and at the end he realized that he's not going to need everything and you are going to lose confidence on your company, and when he starts looking to some other providers, no, to give a real, the truth of what they need. At the end, what they need is solutions, not services. No.
Mm-hmm. Great. So it sounds like developing that sense of trust is that key element of keeping the customer for you.
Exactly, to be like a consultor, no? Sometimes they are asking us things that is not related with GPS, but that's good because they are relying on you as a
As an
technical
advisor.
consultant, as an advisor, and that's good.
Okay, thank you. Makes sense. Jostein, what about you?
Um, so I think that to stick with something needs to be really good. So why do I stick with Wialon? It's basically because the product is, for our needs, very good. Right? It's in developing constantly. So for us, it's all about developing, putting the money into developers, which is very expensive and very hard because everyone is chasing the same people. So we basically, we have our own web application that we are working on, so we are getting the raw data, etc. from Wialon. And so I think the basics for the stickiness is basically to have as good product as is possible to have. And for us, it's the web application itself, and try to develop it further every day, get rid of bugs. It happens all the time. And also to focusing on the hardware, basically. Because everything is going smooth. If the hardware is 100% perfect and the web application is perfect, then why change? Unless someone is underbidding you with a very, very low price. But since we are also in a niche market which is focusing on mileage reimbursement, we don't see that much competition. It's there definitely, but if we have a product that would be flawless, I would say, then it's I think that's the best way to maintain and have the stickiness effect, I would say.
So ensuring quality and stability of the product would, in your case, would be those key.
That's the key, and then of course you have a lot of things around that.
Of course, but that's a central theme there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. George, in Arisun's case.
Yeah, for us, it's been, first of all, what our friend here is talking is to maintain verticals or create new applications to solve problems for the clients. I was talking this afternoon with someone. We're creating a new software for tire management because all of our clients will have problems with the inventory of tires. So creating those new solutions for them will keep the stickiness, like you say, because nobody else is offering them. So one of them is to offer new things for them. And the other one that is very important, you cannot offer anything if you cannot understand what they want. So to understand what they want, we divided our clients in 3 parts, A, Bs, and Cs. A's, we divide them by quantity of units, by business, and by other stuff. And we assign people to visit them periodically depending on that A, B, and C procedure to have requests to understand their problems, new things that they're doing, so we can develop new things for them. Because if you don't understand their problems, you cannot help them. And if you don't help them, you actually cannot make them stick to you. Basically, we have those 2 strategies. One of them is to create new things for them, and the other one is to actually listen to them. Go to them and visit them and talk to them and actually create that relationship.
And I would assume part of that is also not assuming that the needs do not change, right? From the time that you sell that solution in the first place.
They do change.
Exactly, and that's part of that process that you've established with your companies, right? You've sold, you might have satisfied the needs at the point of sale, right? But that doesn't mean that a year later the needs would not evolve, right? So keeping up with those changing demands.
A nice story. Nice story. I got one of my clients right now coming from Mexico, and he goes to me and, oh, listen, I saw this beautiful driver management system. They implemented, and they have reds and whites and graphs and everything. And I just go to him, you have it. So the guy starts looking at what he has, and he tells me, oh, this is much better than the other one. So you see. So it's a matter of sometimes they don't even use what you give them.
Okay, great, thank you. So I'm gonna ask one more question, and then I'll see if audience have any questions. Continuing building off of the previous question, what specific Wialon features and/or capabilities help you guys increase that and maintain customer loyalty and stickiness? Mario.
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. I think the verticals are very important for our clients, because now tracking is just like a commodity. They need something more specific for their needs. And sometimes even if they don't need the vertical, it's important to tell them that we have verticals, because they realize that you are a big company, and you have a strong software, a strong backend, and that you are in the top companies of tracking services. So I think verticals are very important. And also what we have been telling them a lot is, even if FLESP is very technical and difficult to explain, we try to explain to them that we have a very strong engine of development, which means that we can do whatever they need. And well, we try to explain that it's not something that we are going to develop from scratch, that we have a special engine that will be easier to build new verticals depending on what they need. So we try to highlight a lot the backend that Wialon has. Because the interface, the front end, is difficult to find a difference between some other competitors. I mean, the main features are usually very similar. But what it's important to highlight is that the backend is so strong that we can build whatever they need. So I think it's very important to tell them that now we are able to move ahead just tracking, that we can do exactly what they need. And as Jorge is saying, for that we have to understand very well how they work, what are their needs, what are their problems, and based on that try to solve, focusing on that problems, instead of just telling the A, B, and C of the tracking, no? which many competitors has it.
Okay, so going back to kind of what specifically on Wialon it is that helps with that increasing and maintaining stickiness, that the open API and SDK that is inherent to Wialon, but along with that, the FLESP, which is a standalone product that would allow you to quickly develop something that would feed a particular vertical need, and making that known to the customer and kind of differentiate your service based on that.
Exactly.
Okay, excellent. Jostein, what's your take on that?
Since we are only using Wialon today as, let's say, a source to getting the raw data to our own application, it's the API, which is the main feature. It sounds kind of boring to say that, but it's interesting because, first of all, I talked to one of my developers before I left about this question, and he said that, because I asked him, is the API good? He said, yeah, it's super good. It's very good, but there's something that we could request. It might be there, I'm not sure, but what he called like a streaming API, which basically that we can get the data continuously from. And one of the reasons for that is for our own application, that we don't need to ask all the time for the data, but also a very interesting thing is that one of the biggest map providers, they came to us and they want to buy the data. Anonymous data for their own service, and they're paying very well. And so we are we are in a test phase for that, independent actually of if it's a streaming API, what they call it. I'm not sure if that's the proper name of it, but the point is that we see that there's a new trend in basically, since we have 8,000 units in total live. But even, which, considering that it's a pretty small company, not in Norway though, but then the global map providers come to us and say, we want to buy the data for a substantial amount every year per unit. And So if the ideal part in that case would be to get the data directly from Wialon. Because now we take it from Wialon to our own server and from that server to the next. So that trend is something that could be very, very profitable for those who have enough data and the right type of data.
Okay, so capitalizing on the data accumulation that you have based on the nature of your business, but then having that as almost a side source of income. Okay, interesting. George, what about but I think the central theme is again the APIs, right? The ability to tap into the back end and perform the integrations, being able to build something custom.
Let me
as
just
far as
add one thing first. Sorry for that. I'm in an interesting phase now also that I'm trying to wrap my head around to investigate all of the other features which lies within Wialon, to look more into the fleet management system and maybe other opportunities, try to be creative, try to see what can we make then. And what I can say about that so far is that I see that there's so much untapped potential when it comes to the feature part, because it's so much we don't even use. We haven't even touched it yet. So there's a lot to build on, basically.
All right, thank you. George, what's, I imagine API is also super important for you given the focus that you already
explained. I think
explained.
I'll answer the question with an example. Yesterday I attended one of the meetings, and on the meeting we were talking about the driving habit capabilities on each one of the features that it had. And talking to the guy, that driving capability there, the feature, can be used for temperature sensors. And you can analyze when the temperature sensors are giving you the data that you need, and you can send the information and with colors and everything with a application to driving habits. So the answer is the capability of the system to be useful in any way. I will say, why would they stick to us? Because you can use, right now I have in my house a sensor installed I used to have to run out of water. So I installed a new sensor on on my water tank to know when I have to call the people to put some water inside, and I used a fuel sensor. So I will say the capability of understanding the system and to use it in many ways is what keeps that stickiness of the client. To you, that system that you gave us, to use it in many ways. That's the whole point of the stickiness. Then comes the API and comes the other one.
Okay, thank you. So at this point I'd like to ask if anyone in the audience has any questions to our panelists. Kalyan, please. 1 second, we'll get you a microphone.
So I have just this question. If you have to say one thing which makes a very big difference between you and your competitors, and if you could just not generalize but say something very specific, what would be this thing? What makes you much better than your competitors? Say just one thing. I know it's a hard question, but you're also smart guys.
I can mention that we are specializing in one specific niche, which is mileage reimbursement, and we try to, and we say that we are the best in that. So we try to be honest.
In our case, I will say support. I say to my team that the sales. When our sales managers or us finish the sales, then comes a second part, which is we are not going to be in the desk of the client selling, but now that they are giving the support or making the installations, they are the new sales team. Because if they don't do their job properly, on time, kindly, they are going to look for other providers, or all the speech that you gave at the beginning when you did the sale is going to be lost just like that if your support was not good. So we put a lot of effort in the post-sales efforts.
We are a solution-driven company. But even though we're a solution-driven company, there's one word, adaptability, for the solution of the client.
Thank you. Colin, that answers for you? That answers for you?
I think yes, it was a little bit of general, like you said, support and solution driven, and then I'm sure it's so. But I think it's very important for ourselves just to, when we speak about what's our advantage, to try to find all these small things which sometimes they are not general and, you know, something a little bit different from the others. Because you can imagine that also our competitors are saying the same. They say that they have support, they're adaptable and so on. Yeah, if we can find such kind of things which on top of mind, customers are thinking about us, actually, your example is good.
I think maybe one thing that is overlooked a lot, not just in our business, but in general, is the branding. So again, if I would take back my answer and say it again, I would say branding, basically, because we spend a lot of time in making a brand, Autogear, into something that is not super sexy, but we're trying to go in that direction in telematics, because it's basically, it's boring in most cases, I would say. So for those companies that are good at that and try to have a brand that is, looks very good in any way, like the colors, the profile, the website, the whole experience. I think that is a major way to try to differentiate between. But again, it's not only in telematics. There are a lot of businesses that people are. It's very hard actually.
I fully agree with you that this is something which is very important. And as this is a little bit of engineering business, what we are doing, we tend to forget about branding and how to position ourselves. Because sometimes we can do a lot of things, but we cannot brand them in a very good way.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. So I saw Samir had a question, but I just want to ask another one from my side, and then we'll go to yours, Samir. Guys, in those unfortunate circumstances when customers discontinued service with you, and it sounds like Jorge never came across that in the 10 years, which is... Okay, so you may add something to that. What were the reasons when that happened? Mario?
Well, in my case, when our client is crossing through a bad moment for his company or its company, and they are not able to keep paying the service. That's one case. And the other case is we have a lot of transport clients that give services to retails. Sometimes it's happening that the retail or the main company that gives the transport, they are pushing them to use another platform. So we have some struggles there, and sometimes they are forced that if they don't change to other platform, they are not going to give more service to them. So that's a strange case that we struggle with some of them. Fortunately, it just happened with small clients, but in my case, that's the two cases.
So both of those cases, were outside of your control. There's really nothing that you could have done from your side to change the outcome.
Exactly. Well, in the second case, we have tried to tell them, okay, let me talk to your client, and I will show my platform. We have success one time. In the others, it seems that everything is already done
at the higher level.
In the high level, so it's difficult to get in.
Gotcha. Thank you. Jostein, what about you?
It's different reasons, basically. It's, we have companies going bankrupt, people are losing their job or their driver license, or they don't need mileage reimbursement anymore. There are some price, competitors are underbidding us, etc. Could be sometimes hardware issues, needs to be fine-tuned, firmware upgrades, In Norway now, there's 30% of all new cars are electric cars. So it could be some challenges there to have the hardware fine-tuned or adjusted to those specific cars. But it's a variety of different reasons for us to lose customers. Some are, we have some companies that are very aggressive also in Norway in the sales tactics. So they would do whatever it takes, basically, to get new customers, even if they lose money on it. Because there are some companies that have been bought, new owners, new private equity, and those kind of very aggressive owners, and they are going to get new customers, whatever it takes. So we see that also. But again, because you have a specialized service, it's the chances for churn are a little bit smaller when it comes to direct competition.
Thank you. George?
In our case, we lost 3 clients that I can actually give the cases that you're talking about. One of them, I'll start with what Mario said, is that they tell, look, listen, you're going to work with this one, and it's all arranged on the top, and you can't go. You actually can't do anything about it because some money has to be given on the bottom, and that's not the way that we're supposed to work. One. The second one, it'll be those with fuel cards, because the fuel card integration is not yet finished. We're trying to do a fuel card integrations ourselves, but some people don't want to give money to the truck drivers, and they want to use the fuel cards. And we don't have the fuel card integration. There's one, but we haven't been able to use it. And the third one, let me see, first one, second. No, basically, those are the two type of it, the fuel card and the type of that. We can solve the second one,
Right.
but not the first one.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
I add one thing, I just forgot. It's also interesting because, we sometimes we lose customers because the customer wants a full solution, basically. It could be different things. They want fleet management, they want something else other than what we are offering, and they don't want, obvious, to have different suppliers. If someone can supply it okay, but in different areas. So in that case, we are collaborating also with other bigger companies that are specializing in their own fields. So for example, there's this company in Denmark called Track Unit, which are specializing in machineries, and bigger trucks, and that kind of things, which we don't want to touch. And so we collaborate with them. Then if we have a customer saying that, okay, we need that too, then say, we work closely with this company. And so you get actually the full solution, so you don't lose the customers to other for that reason. So it is ways to get around that, or at least avoid or reduce the churn part.
Right. So part of that is, helping with being that one source for multiple types of solutions, but another is probably having tight and high quality integration between those systems that the customer would be obtaining, right? Which also goes to the API capabilities that Wialon has that does enable you guys to do that. All right, Samir, what was your question?
Thank you, guys. The information that you have all said clarifies that the maturity and experience you have in your region, and I would like to benefit from that. We do mostly everything you said, and when you are on the top, or let's say one of the leaders, other companies try to imitate you, try to breach the same features that you are having a niche for it. Perfect support, specialized in mileage reimbursement, special sector of the market. However, each one of these, the competitors will try to go after you using the same terminology, at least on paper. And when they go greatly under tender and offer great less prices against a similar service, how do you tackle that? we faced some issues in the old days. We said they will never meet us. Some of the clients left already. Very few of them went back. However, the majority that we lost because we have an unmatched platform, which we do. We all agreed we do. They never came back. And they went with the underpriced services. This year alone, 60% of my new sales, in contrast, I have 60% of that number churned because of the price war. People are using the same terminology that we have an edge and advantage. I'll tell you more. My competitors, in some way, managed to have an access, either through a supporting client or somehow made a subscription with us. They copied the features. However, they could not come up with the same results. But they used it for their sales techniques, for sales offer, to say, we can offer you the same that Tracking is offering. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. Remember I told you that one of the key parts is communication?
Yes.
So that visiting of the client every month, every 2 months, will keep you in touch of anything that is happening with them. And money shouldn't be an issue as long as you don't lose money. I mean, lowering a price as long as you don't lose money. When you start losing money because of all your back office that you have, then you're doing something wrong as a company. But it shouldn't, if you pay attention to the client, if you know what he's being offered, if you actually give him new things, you shouldn't lose them, Samir. You shouldn't. It's not going to happen always. We just lost a 200 unit client, but what he said, there was a tender. It wasn't a matter of money because we were lower. So something else has to be done. We had better product, lower price, and what had to be? What else could you do? Nothing. There are certain clients you're going to lose because there's something else going. Maybe you don't know the right person, and that you can't do anything about it.
Or I'm not paying.
Huh?
Or I'm not paying at that.
That's right. Or you're not paying the correct amount of money. But we're not going to go for the payments. I mean, we talked about it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a matter of honesty and being correct and being the stuff. If you're going to lose, but there's things you can do. Listen to them, talk to them, give them new things and solutions. We talked to the guy the way of changing all the stuff that you have. To it's like a relationship.
Which I think is the reason of this panel, no? That we now have to have more effort in retain and to look for new clients. I mean, it's because as you have said perfectly, they now are using the same language, the same speech, the same strategy. But I think what we have to do is to stay very close to them. Another thing that maybe you do that, but we have offered them to have a guy from us in their installations, in their an implant, in their office, to help them and to listen to what's happening, so he can get back to us quickly. And okay, I have heard that they are doing this, or they are planning to do that, and we can run to them. Okay, I can offer to you this or that. No, but it's tricky. But I think the time when we have to be very close to the clients has come.
This is going to sound so horrible, but you can compare this to a marriage. True. It's a marriage, and you have to work, and you have to take your wife out and give her attention and give her everything if you want to maintain her. That's what I can say about it. Spend to keep.
And being transparent.
Ludvigsen, you wanted to add something as well?
Yeah, I agree with what you say. It's obviously a challenge, but it's also the flip side of it, or a different situation in Norway, because there's one giant company in Norway, not mentioning names, but they started very early and expanded very fast in different markets, and they had the solution or the service actually that we have. But what's funny to see is actually, because it was an app and they closed it down, basically. I'm not sure if they saw that they couldn't be as good as we are, or that they saw that it was easier to grow with the other products. Because you also see that many telematics companies, they are getting more and more services or more features and different things that they are adding to be able to grow and kind of desperately grow, I would say. Yeah, we can also see that if you are specialized, then you. But as you commented on this, I got this idea that actually it's strange that I haven't been doing before, or we did it before. Basically, that we had other products, not this telematics products, but we got them tested, or we got reviews in the media. So they test different, products and compare them. In telematics, at least in Norway, there's been no tests. So we also have this comparator that say that, yeah, we have mileage reimbursement as good, but that's just bullshit, right? So, but an idea would actually to get some kind of a media or some specialty magazines or some different, websites, or you could actually test it and say that, okay, this is, and then you can use actually in marketing and the salespeople can just kill those false claims that say that they have the exact same as you guys. That could be one way to do it, because we also see it. We see that there's a lot of aggressive salespeople there, and they say whatever they want, because they are only commission driven. A lot of them, they don't give a rat's ass about basically if it's wrong or not, and it's sad for you. You lose it on the wrong terms basically. But it's possible to be creative also in this area, I would say.
All right. So the common theme is being staying really, really close to the customer and being abreast of all their developments and competing offers that they receive and reacting immediately to that. So we'll take one more question from the audience, then and another wrapping question from my side.
It's not a question. It's
Okay.
experience that I would like to share. Maybe everybody can benefit from. I mean, we are in the same situation. We used to lose client because of price or any other reasons. It's true we have to get married to the client and be open. But what is most important, we found out from a year till today, is proactive. Proactive support, when we started using the tools that was announced last year, the fleet health, which tells us exactly the status of every unit we have. And we tell the customer in advance, before he finds out what's wrong with the unit, that gave us a lot of credibility in the market. Our competitors do not have this. So since we started using this like a year ago, we kept more control of the client. He felt more confident with us than with any other competition. We lost much less than the competition. So there are tools in the market that can help us being one step ahead of our competition, make sure that if we have problems in our platform, that we know about it before the clients calls up and tell us about it. Right.
Thank you. Thank you for that additional comment. And just to remind everybody, given that information that you mentioned on the app that helped you with the client retention, now we have on the website, on Gurtam.com, a special section on software developers and third-party development, third-party applications. It's all now centralized on our website. It's easy to find that information, to find a third-party app that would help you with providing the right product for the customer. So the last question that I will ask you guys, and we'll wrap up this panel, is what do you think can Gurtam do to help you guys be more effective in retaining customers and building loyalty, both to the solution that you provide to them, but also to your organizations?
I think, getting back to the, linking to the last topic, well, now in our region, in Mexico, now you have people, and it's good sometimes to go together to see clients. I think it's good because I think we all face the problem that we are, it's not a problem, but we are a brand, but the clients know that there are many providers, but when they know that backing up you is Gurtam, I mean the big software developer, that gives you a lot of presence to the client.
Credibility.
Credibility, exactly. Because in the past, again, they didn't know that there were a software developer behind you. They thought that you were just GPS provider, etc. But now they are realizing that you are not the owner of the development. You have someone behind. So if you are more open and you say, okay, Gurtam is behind me, it's open, it's transparent, and they come with us, I think will be good.
Thank you, Mario, for your suggestion. What about you guys?
Two things. The one thing is kind of interesting that was mentioned, the fleet health, because we are using it ourselves. And we just started with it, get some customization, etc. And I look at it as an extremely powerful tool to be able to see the problems before the customer itself can see it. So you can fine-tune it, you can fine-tune the firmware, or you can do some actions. You can actually call the customers and say, we see that there are some poor GPS signals in the car. Could you maybe use the OBD2 extension cord to move it up on the dashboard or something like that? So to have that kind of tool, I think it's crucial. So to integrate it, to be a part of Wialon, I think would be great, because this is something I found out on the last conference you had last year. And it was kind of coincidence that actually I heard about it, because she had a speak because, you know, I like this, what you say about marriage, but if you have 8,000 wives, you can't, it's very hard to, you know, to please them. So that's, to have a tool is crucial. The other one is kind of related to that, and it's what I had some issues with, or some challenges with Wialon, but I got really good help. I think it was Tim or someone else that actually set up some scripts to do mass upgrade of the firmware. And that's basically a pain in the ass, and it's necessary to do mass firmware upgrade. And so those two are kind of connected, I would say, because if you can see something that is wrong with the product, it could be related to the firmware. And how do you do mass upgrade firmware for 10,000 units? Yes, there are different hardware suppliers that are providing this, but also there are many who don't provide it. And that was the case for us. And we got really good help. And I asked about it. You should have this. It would be tremendous help, not only for us, but for all companies that connected these units. But maybe it's hard to do, obviously, because we don't have it as a, you know, it should be like a panel and just, okay, I have 5,000 Teltonica Rotella units and upload the firmware and just go.
Yeah. So 2 points there, right? One is that app that you've discovered during the last telematics conference that really helped you. Yeah, and this is part of the reason that we organize this type of events, to exchange this information and bring your guys' solutions to the foreground and helping you find the customers as well. And the second, the extra support that you got from our side with that mass firmware update that we assisted with. Okay, great to know. George, what about you?
In our side, I appreciate what Gurtam is doing to us in the sense of the support and meetings and everything. And I will just say that they have to keep doing it. But don't lose that track, because it's the correct one. Because they're feeding us with the information, they're feeding us with the information on my Gurtam and all the stuff that we need. On my part, I think the problem doesn't lie on Gurtam's side. The problem lies on us. We have to grow as distributors or as partners ourselves and to learn. And that, I don't know where we can learn that, where we can learn administration skills, where we can learn technical skills. That is something that is not, can be provided by Gurtam. That has to be looked by us somewhere, you know. Gurtam cannot help us, as I see it. How can you teach me good administration techniques? How can you teach me good development follow-up or software development inside of us? That's something that we have to grow. Where? I think that lies between the partners and what we want to do to make ourselves stronger by the small things that I don't have that you have. But that's just us.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And all those opportunities that you guys get as part of the event, such as this, with experience sharing and networking, that's part of our effort to help you enable that, gaining those competences and knowledge.
Just answering your question, then sorry that I expanded such a way. I think you're doing a great job. I don't want my price lower. Don't worry. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I think you're doing a great job. Just keep it going. But there's something that we, the partners ourselves, have to do to capitalize on the strong of some partners and the weakness of others. And if Gurtam can help us capitalize on that more than just with meetings, remember the alliance that caused so many problems 3 to 4 years ago? Something like that, by somebody managing an alliance that doesn't affect anyone, should be a good step. We need a referee. At that time, we needed one. No, you let us ourselves on the boxing.
To take off.
Yes, we took our gloves into that. Yeah, some of you don't remember that alliance stuff that happened that time.
Yeah, we'll explore things like that and others. But I'd like to thank all of you guys for participating in this panel and sharing your experience. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so as I said, there's still some workshops going on, which will run until 4 o'clock. So guys, please feel free to join one of those. And we'll have a second panel here at 4:30 after coffee break. Thank you, everybody, for coming.